Good morning, folks. Whew, it has been a week, right? It's been a week. I'm sure everybody is paying attention to the news, and a lot of it's coming out that some of these stores, they've got the prices on the shelf, on the little tag on the shelf, but when you go to check out, the price is higher on the machine when you check out. Now, I don't know about you, but I've noticed that for a while. So it's all about. I'm gonna try and set you down here. It's all about a little bit about greed, but it's also about the fact that these stores have been looted in various parts of the country, and they've got to make a profit in order to stay a business, right? So the only thing I can tell you to do about this is be aware of what the price of things are that you're buying when you go to checkout, and check your receipt. Because we know with these lawsuits going on for, oh wow, Home Depot got fined $2 million, right? Customers aren't going to see that, right? It's just, you're not going to see that money back, right? So you just have to try and do your due diligence, right? And sometimes that doesn't work, right? It's a sad situation, though. We're constantly hearing in the trucking industry, we're hearing here lately about a possible shutdown of the ports starting October the 1st. So if I was you and you rely on specific medications coming from overseas, or you have specific things that you buy that are coming from overseas, I would go ahead and stock up on that, because if the ports do shut down, that's going to make those items less available on the shelves, right? And of course, they're going to go up in price. Here we go again. Everything's going to go up in price. Like, I like to see my paycheck go up in price. But I don't see that happening. Right? So, we have to, as preppers, we have to look ahead and try and determine, okay, what's coming down the pipeline. So, this is what I see coming down the pipeline. Number one, scientists are now talking about we're going to get a second moon. Okay? And it's going to be around, I guess, for a couple months, and then it's going to burn up and be gone, right? Number two, we've got about 45 days to the election. So that rhetoric is going to amp up, right? We know it's going to amp up. We've also already had a couple attempts to assassinate one of the presidential nominees, which that's never good. Number three, we've seen in my area, we've seen fuel drop slightly. I believe this is to give the American people a false sense of hope right before the elections. Expect them after the election to skyrocket back up to where they were. So if you can stockpile some fuel, I would do that. I don't have that capability, but some people do. Number 4. See, I got a whole list of them, right? Number 4. We're hearing more and more about a possibility of Russia going kinetic. And by kinetic, I mean tactical nukes. We're seeing more and more troop movements here in the U.S. We're seeing more and more, especially like on the West Coast and in Alaska, we're seeing more and more troops being deployed to those areas. So the possibility of a ground war here in the U.S. is increasing daily. So if you have the ability to go and get some kind of protection for you and your family, I would do that. Because we're already hearing, it's all over the news. We're already hearing about these various migrants who are attacking apartment complexes, who are going in and attacking homeowners, who are unfortunately eating pets and park animals, and this is spreading. It's not only just in Ohio; it is spreading. Okay, so I think that having some form of protection for you and your family, I think at this point is an absolute necessity. Okay, and be aware, be aware of the laws in your area on these types of protections, because you don't want to be somebody who, in all honesty, protected your family and now you're in trouble with the law. So you don't want that. You don't want that on your plate, right? It's bad enough if you have to use some type of protection to protect your family, but to then also be financially devastated by massive lawsuits and possibly time in jail. You don't want that. So make sure you know the specific rules in your state and county and everything concerning the use of protection, right? And I'm trying to be careful with my words. Number 5. As some of you don't know, I'm a huge history buff. So this week I have been vegging on the tales of the Anunnaki. And I have been trying to match up that information along with the Holy Bible, of course, and also with some of the mythos that I've studied for years, and with some of the archaeological finds that we are finding. Very fascinating stuff to me, right? I find it very fascinating. The possibility that they were from a different planet. That is absolutely increasing day by day as I delve more into that rabbit hole, right? So that's one of the rabbit holes I'm going down, right? What fascinates me is in the Bible, it talks about let us make man in our image. So that's always been something that I've always thought about. Was he talking to the angels? Was he talking to the fallen angels? Who is us? And who is our? Right? Is it possible that God used the Anunnaki to bring about mankind? It's possible. The Bible doesn't say that, but there's a lot of room there. There's a lot of holes in history that aren't covered through the Holy Scripture. There's a lot of holes, right? So it's possible that happened. It's possible. I don't think so, but it's possible, right? Is it possible that the fallen angels copied what God did? And so now we have descendants of fallen angels walking around who look human but aren't. That's more probable. So it fascinates me to go down these rabbit holes and just try and intellectually put together things. So right now, what we're seeing, because I am a Christian, and I believe in Jesus Christ 100%. Okay? For those who don't know, Jesus Christ's name was Yeshua HaMashiach. Okay? Yeshua the Christ. Okay? The Messiah. Right? And I believe in him 100%. Let's make no qualms about that. But I'm also aware of the fact that the times that we're living in is at the end of time that we know. Okay? And we have to focus on that, right? But for the short term, we need to look at what can we do to not only help us and our families, but the people around us, right? Because any real prepper is going to tell you they're not only just storing just for themselves, but for their community. Whether it be a prepper community, whether it be the community that they live in, they're taking steps to help not only themselves and their family, but extended family, friends, neighbors. Every prepper that I know is doing that. And I see a lot of this online about preppers that why are you telling people go buy this, go buy that, go buy this, go buy that? Are you in their life? Do you know what their paycheck is? Maybe they're on Social Security. Maybe they can't go buy this or that. So they have to come up with options to fill in that hole on no money. So they have to learn how to reuse things. And this is what they did in the Great Depression, was they reused everything. Everything that could be used, they used again and again and again and again and again. So I'm a little upset with some of these quote-unquote prepper channels. They're telling people, you need this. And these new people coming into the prepping community, you know, they're like, these people crazy. How am I going to come up with $1,200 to go buy this little teeny little solar generator that I might use one time? Folks, as a prepper community, we need to do better, right? We need to do better. This is not about, okay, and I'm going to say it, you know, because there are certain channels that they're all about the money. And if they can get you on their sponsorships to buy stuff, they make money to themselves, right? It's all about this, right? Need a little bit more of this, need a little bit more of this, right? Instead of passing on the knowledge that they have. And I'm not saying these preppers don't have knowledge, because a lot of them do. But we need to focus more on getting that knowledge out now that we're looking at a possible World War III and a nuclear holocaust coming down the pipeline than we are about, oh, well, you need this saw, or you need this solar generator, or you need to buy this specific freeze-dried food, or you need these specific seeds, you need these specific plants, right? You don't know what them people are capable of doing. These people might not even know how to cook. And you're telling them, let's store up all this food that they don't even have any earthly idea how to cook it. Right? You're telling people, oh, well, you know, buy this freeze dryer, and they don't cook. So why are they going to buy the freeze dryer? Right? I'm not saying these things are not important. What I'm saying is we need to get back to basics, right? We need to get back to basics, okay? You need to get back to the real basics of things, okay? Most people are lucky if they have 1 or 2 days of food and water in the house. That's most people. Some don't even have that, right? Because they go out to eat every day, which I don't understand that, but that's what people do. So I'm going to say this. If you're new to prepping, I want you to realize something. I'm not very smart, but by looking at the world and what's going on, there's 3 things that I would make sure of that you have in your house. 3 things. Your house, your car, your tent, whatever you're living in, because some of you are living in tents on the side of the road. Okay? That's an unfortunate truth. But there's 3 things I would have. Number 1 is some way to protect yourself. Because I don't care how much stuff you got. If you can't protect it, you ain't got nothing. So number 1, protect yourself. Number 2, to have clothing or items for your area to protect yourself from the elements. Whether that be your house, whether that be a tent, whether that be a tarp and a sleeping bag, right? Some way for you to protect yourself from the elements. And number 3, at least 3 days of food and water. Specifically water. You can go 21 days without eating. Some not that long, but most can go 21 days without eating. But I guarantee you, you can only go 3 days without drinking some kind of water or liquid. That's scientifically proven. I'm not just saying that. That's a fact. Okay? So those three things are your number one priority right now. Now, women like me, do not go anywhere without some kind of protection on you. I can't reiterate this. I can't reiterate this. It's a sad state of affairs, and it hurts my heart, as you can tell, right? I'm getting all teary-eyed. It hurts my heart when I hear about 16, 17, 18-year-old children being snatched from a parking lot at like Walmart, Home Depot, at the gas station, at a truck stop. And then they're never heard from again. If you don't think that that's going on, darling, you're living in a box. Because that is going on. And it's not just here in the United States that that's going on. That's everywhere. Okay? So, always have some kind of protection on you. And if you can, always go with a couple people. Never go alone. If you can. And I don't care how old you are. You're a target. Okay? This also goes for smaller framed males. You are also a target. Because they see you as being weaker than them. And that makes you a target. And I don't care what nationality you are. It doesn't matter. Okay? It doesn't matter. So, you need to fine-tune your senses and be aware of what's going on around you. Especially nowadays. Okay? I'm 60 years old. And it's a very scary time going on right now. I drive a truck. And here's a statistic that you probably don't know. It is theorized, I'm going to say that, by the FBI, that the amount of serial killers in big trucks has increased exponentially over the last 20 years. I want that to sink in. Because these are people that go from state to state. And sometimes you only see them once in maybe 2 years. And the FBI is saying that the amount of serial killers has increased in trucking. The amount of people being trafficked along the U.S. highways, and I'm speaking U.S. because that's what I know, has also increased. That's very scary. What's really scary about the whole situation is if the FBI is saying this, and obviously they know who these people are, and how come they haven't arrested them? There you go. How come they haven't arrested them? What about these school shooters? They had them on their radar for a year, 2 years. How come when they got firm tips that something was about to happen, how come they didn't arrest them and stop it before it happened? That's a failure of our law enforcement, right? Which means for normal people like you and me, that's a scary situation. Which is why I say, don't go anywhere without having some form of protection on you. I don't care if you're stepping out on your front porch. Have something on you at all times. Because that's happened too. Right? I think it was Pinball. They put up a video this week of unexpected visitors. And I listened to that story, and I was like, they are so lucky they didn't end up dead. And, you know, I have a little bit of a pessimistic attitude at times, but that is the truth. And you need to start looking at things in this way. I love people, but unfortunately, the times that we live in, you have to be very careful about who you trust. I don't want you to be so naive that you end up in the morgue. So, we're looking at things going on. We're looking at world events going on. We're looking at right now a dip in some prices. So now is a good time, if you can, to go buy stuff that you need to fill those little gaps, right? And by gaps, I mean such things like what happened to me this week. I got stung by a bee. Lo and behold, I had a really bad reaction. So I was not fully prepared for that massive reaction that I had. So something simple like that can take you out. So like I said, if you are reliant on certain medications coming mostly from overseas, we already know that most of our medication is coming from overseas. And I'm sorry the phone keeps moving because it keeps trying to slide down. I'm not moving, the phone is moving. If you need medications, you need to get them. Okay? And you need to think about some of the stuff which I didn't have on hand, which was like hydrocortisone cream, right? For itching. I didn't have it on hand. I'll admit that. Right? Insect bite relief. Okay? You need Benadryl. Thank God I had Benadryl. If I hadn't had Benadryl, I probably would have been in the hospital. I'm going to be honest. That's how bad of a reaction I had. And even when I was talking to the nurse on telehealth, right? Because, you know, that's how we do everything now, right? We go to Zoom call, telehealth, blah, 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 right? uh, even she was saying that I probably need to think about carrying an EpiPen. Like I said, I've always been slightly allergic, but this was just off the chain reaction. So, things of this nature, you need to have on hand, just in case. Right? But the main thing is, what do you use every week? Do you have that on hand for that week? That's where you need to start, really. Is you need to sit down 1 week, write everything down that you use. I don't care if it's tissue. You write it down. I use tissue for this. I use wet ones for this. I used aspirin for this. Right? You need to write all that down for a week. And then at the end of that week, you go through and you say, hey, this is how much I need for a week. That's how I started in prepping. No, no one told me any of this. I learned this the hard way, right? I learned that, okay, storing stuff underneath the house in a rubber tote, yeah, that's not good because then the cans rust and you're out that money, right? So these lessons are hard earned. And I think that people get so far into prepping that they forget the simple stuff. And that's what I'm calling on all preppers who have bigger channels than mine. Get back to basics, right? Yeah, I know you have content. You got 100,000 subscribers. You got content that people can search. I'm going to be honest with you. Most people are not going to do that. Most people are going to go, oh, this old lady or this old guy, he's crazy. And they'll watch it for a few minutes and then they're gone. So we need to do better, right? And I've rambled on now for almost 33 minutes. So it's a pretty long video for me. So I'm going to let y'all go. And I'm going to go do my thing on this beautiful Saturday. And just use your brain, right? You use the brain in your head, okay? You don't need all this crazy stuff if you ain't got the basics down. Okay? You use the brain a little bit, right? And as always, don't go into debt to prepare. Because that's a whole different ball game. Bicycle.